Welcome to the channel Reflections of Time.
In this episode, we turn to one of the oldest and most continuous civilizations in human history, China. From philosophy and invention to rebellion and reform, the story of China stretches across thousands of years. It is a land shaped by rivers, dynasties, ideas, and the will to endure. What began by the banks of a river became an empire, and what that empire built still echoes in the modern world. Do not forget to subscribe and like the video. Now, let us begin this journey, from the shadows of the Great Wall to the teachings of Confucius, from the Silk Road to the skyscrapers of the present.
The Yellow River and the birth of civilization.
The foundation of Chinese civilization began near the Yellow River, also known as Huanghe. Its fertile soil and seasonal floods made agriculture possible and supported the rise of organized communities. Nearly 4,000 years ago, early settlements began to emerge along the river. These groups gradually developed social structures, rituals, and leadership systems. Bronze tools, pottery, and animal-shaped ornaments became common in this early period. The river brought both life and destruction. Its floods often caused severe damage. This duality helped shape a worldview in which humans sought to control nature, build walls, and organize their world with precision.
The Shang and Zhou dynasties, the first steps of empire.
The first historically documented dynasty in China was the Shang. Established over 3,000 years ago, it introduced city-states and a centralized political structure. Bronze casting, oracle bones, and the earliest known Chinese writing system appeared during this period. The Zhou dynasty followed and introduced a lasting concept called the mandate of heaven. According to this idea, the right to rule came from a divine source, but only if the ruler upheld justice and prosperity. If rulers became corrupt or weak, the mandate could be lost. This belief shaped Chinese political thought for centuries. During the Zhou period, a feudal system developed, and local lords gained more power. Eventually, the central authority weakened, leading to a period of intense conflict known as the Warring States.
Confucius and the birth of Chinese philosophy.
The Warring States period was one of political chaos, but it also gave rise to some of the most enduring philosophical ideas in Chinese history. Among the most influential thinkers was Confucius. He believed that social harmony depended on each person fulfilling their role, within the family, the state, and society. His teachings emphasized respect for elders, moral behavior, loyalty, and education. Confucianism became the backbone of Chinese bureaucracy, culture, and ethics for generations. Around the same time, Laozi developed the philosophy known as Taoism, which emphasized harmony with nature, simplicity, and inner wisdom. These two systems, Confucianism and Taoism, formed the spiritual and ethical foundation of Chinese life. While one focused on order and duty, the other called for flow, reflection, and freedom.
The Qin dynasty and the beginning of the Great Wall.
The first unified Chinese empire was established by the Qin dynasty. Its ruler, Qin Shi Huang, became the first emperor of China. He standardized currency, writing, weights, and measures. He also launched massive infrastructure projects, including roads, canals, and the first sections of what would later become the Great Wall. Qin rule was harsh. Books were burned, scholars were silenced, and opposition was crushed. But the administrative and legal systems he introduced set the stage for future empires. After his death, the dynasty collapsed quickly under rebellion and unrest.
The Han dynasty, beginning of a golden age.
After the fall of the Qin, the Han dynasty rose to power and established a period of stability and prosperity that would shape China's identity for centuries. Unlike the rigid Qin system, the Han rulers adopted Confucian principles and created a more harmonious relationship with the population. The empire expanded its borders, promoted agriculture, invested in infrastructure, and encouraged scientific research. Advances were made in astronomy, medicine, mathematics, and engineering. One of the most significant achievements of this era was the formal opening of the Silk Road. This vast trade network connected China with Central Asia, the Middle East, and the Mediterranean. Goods such as silk, paper, porcelain, and tea traveled westward, while new ideas, religions, and innovations came east. Buddhism, which arrived during this period, gradually spread across China and took root among the people.
Collapse and division.
Toward the end of the Han Dynasty, internal problems began to surface. Corruption, drought, rebellions, and political intrigue weakened central authority. Eventually, the dynasty collapsed, and China entered a long era of disunity. For centuries, China was divided among rival kingdoms. Although cultural and intellectual activities continued, the country lacked a strong central government. Later, the Tang and Song dynasties brought periods of revival. During the Song era, printing, the compass, and gunpowder were invented, technologies that would eventually change the course of world history.
Mongol invasion and the Yuan dynasty.
In the 13th century, China faced a major invasion. Mongol armies under Genghis Khan and his successors swept through the land and established the Yuan dynasty. For the first time in Chinese history, the entire empire was ruled by a foreign power. The native Han Chinese population became subjects of the Mongol elite. Despite this, the Yuan era was a time of increased contact with the outside world. European merchants, travelers, and diplomats visited China. Marco Polo's journeys occurred during this period, but dissatisfaction grew among the people, and large-scale uprisings eventually brought down Mongol rule. Theming dynasty was established by native Chinese forces.
Ming and Qing dynasties. Strength and isolation.
Theming dynasty was a time of cultural restoration and strong centralized governance. Architecture, painting, literature, and philosophy flourished. The Forbidden City in Beijing was constructed, symbolizing imperial power and order. During this time, China briefly ventured into global exploration. The voyages of Admiral Jing raked as far as East Africa. But these expeditions were soon halted, and China turned inward once again. In the 17th century, the Qing dynasty was founded by the Manchus. It was the last imperial dynasty in Chinese history. Although the Qing expanded China's territory and population, they faced growing internal tension and external threats. Foreign influence increased, and China's traditional isolation became harder to maintain.
The Opium Wars and the decline of empire.
In the 19th century, conflict with Britain led to the Opium Wars, which resulted in severe losses for China. Trade imbalances, forced treaties, and foreign occupation weakened the Qing government. Territories such as Hong Kong were handed over to Western powers. Multiple uprisings occurred, including the Taiping Rebellion, one of the deadliest civil wars in world history. The imperial court tried to introduce reforms, but it was too late. By the end of the century, China was fractured, vulnerable, and in decline.
Revolution and the rise of modern China.
At the start of the 20th century, the Qing dynasty collapsed. A republic was declared, but the new system failed to unify the country. Warlords controlled different regions, and civil war soon followed. The invasion by Japan and years of internal conflict led to exhaustion and disillusionment. In 1949, the Communist Party under Mao Zedong gained control. The People's Republic of China was established. The early decades of communist rule saw land reform, industrial campaigns, and intense political movements like the Cultural Revolution. Millions suffered during this time, but the foundations for a new era were being laid. Later, under Deng Xiaoping, China shifted toward a market-oriented economy. This transformation led to rapid industrialization and unprecedented economic growth.
Modern China, between tradition and power.
Today, China is one of the most influential countries in the world. Its cities are filled with glass towers and high-speed trains, but its traditions are still alive in temples, calligraphy, festivals, and family rituals. On one side, ancient philosophies, martial arts, and Confucian ethics. On the other, artificial intelligence, global trade, and space missions. China is not just a country. It is a civilization that spans centuries and contains within it contradictions, strengths, and unresolved questions. Internally, challenges such as censorship, inequality, and cultural identity persist. Externally, China plays a leading role in shaping the 21st century.
Conclusion.
The history of China is not only about emperors, wars, and inventions. It is about how a people remember, adapt, and endure. It is about how traditions survive revolutions and how philosophies influence power. From the banks of the Yellow River to the control panels of orbiting satellites, China continues to evolve, never forgetting the past, yet always reaching toward the future. If you found this journey meaningful, do not forget to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. We will meet again in the next episode.